What's going on, everybody? You're watching New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. And remember, if you want to be a part of these mailbags, you got to be a subscriber. So go down right now, hit that big red button. Help us get to 10,000 subscribers. Do it for Eli Manning, because you got to do it for Eli. He did it for us twice. Hit that big red button and subscribe right now. Question number one coming from the homie Juan. He says, realistically, who would we have a better chance of getting, OBJ or DK Metcalf? That's a great question. And when I think about it on the surface, I think DK Metcalf. I'm not sure Odell Beckham Jr. ever wants to play for the New York Football Giants again. Shout out to Dave Gettleman for that. But it just seemed like the relationship kind of soured a little bit. I haven't heard the best things about Mara and Odell Beckham having a great relationship, and DK Metcalf is going to be a free agent next offseason. And the Giants are going to have $54 million to spend in the 2023 free agency cycle, which is the fourth most in the National Football League. Look, if Kenny Golladay plays bad, they're going to cut him and save some money. Sterling Shepard's on a one-year deal. He's probably gone after this year. So you got Kadarius Toney and Wan'Dale Robinson. You're going to have to go out and get another receiver because, look, if you get a new quarterback, you got to get a wide receiver one, and maybe that's DK Metcalf. We saw when Joe Schoen was the assistant general manager for the Buffalo Bills, they went out and made a blockbuster trade to go and get Stephon Diggs. He got Josh Allen a number one wide receiver. Whether it's Daniel Jones next year or another rookie quarterback or the Giants trade for a quarterback, I expect that Joe Schoen is going to go out and get him a wide receiver one. So I think DK is unfortunately more likely than Odell because I'd love to see OBJ back in Giants blue. Good question, Juan. Mr. NY Stadium, the homie, do you think Kayvon Thibodeau will win Rookie of the Year this upcoming season? I did a video on this a couple of weeks ago, and at the time, I don't have the exact odds right now. But Kayvon Thibodeau was tied with the number one best odds to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. And my guy Matthew Peterson will check that out for me in a second. But I think Kayvon is going to have a chance to come in and be an absolute wrecking ball in his rookie season. He's going to be a starter on day one. And he's playing in a very good system to help him produce early on because Don Wink Martindale, he's going to dial up the blitzes. He's going to bring the pressure. And the way that he likes to play defense, it's an attacking style. It keeps the offensive line on their heels and not their toes. It's going to be tough. Still tied for number one, PD. He's now second in the odds at plus 500. Thank you for our PD statistician, right behind Aiden Hutchinson. But what I'm saying with the Wink Martindale and the Kayvon Thibodeau thing is Martindale's going to be able to scheme Thibodeau open on free blitzes. He's going to get some sacks this year where he doesn't even get touched by opposing offensive linemen. I'm expecting Thibodeau to have a great season. I think he'll compete for that award. Hopefully he gets to around 8 to 12 sacks because if he does, I think he'll be right in the running with other guys like Hutchinson and Walker to win that award. Appreciate the question, though, bro. Austin Johnson, 44. If Daniel Jones struggles this year, who could we look at next year? Yes, Daniel Jones on the last year of his deal. And if he doesn't play well enough to convince Joe Schoen that he's the guy that can lead the New York Giants back to being great, they're going to move on from him. And deservedly so. He's had every chance in the book, while he also has had every excuse in the book for not being good. I expect the Giants to replace Daniel Jones in the NFL draft. And we'll pop this graphic up on screen. One of these guys is not like the other, and that's Lamar Jackson. He's going to be a free agent, and it doesn't sound like him and the Baltimore Ravens have ever come close to a contract extension, and the Giants could trade for him if they really wanted to push all their marbles into the middle of the table. But guys in the NFL draft, you have Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. I think one way or another, those are going to be the top two quarterbacks to be picked. I also like Anthony Richardson out of Florida. He's an athletic dual threat, and same with Will Levis out of Kentucky. He's not as athletic as Anthony Richardson, but I've seen some people compare him to Josh Allen before. I believe the Giants will replace Daniel Jones in the NFL draft with their first-round selection in 2023. It'll be one of those guys, or maybe they go out and make a trade for a guy like Lamar Jackson. I've heard Tua's name being mentioned before. I would not be a fan of that. I'm not a big fan of Tua, but at the end of the day, if Daniel Jones is gone, they're going to have to do something to get someone that's ready to play real football under center next season. This is a good question to ask. Good job by my producer here. Who do you want? Yes, you, the viewer, watching right now. Who do you want the Giants starting quarterback to be in the 2023 season? Do you want it to be Daniel Jones? I would be down with that because that means he played really good in 2022. You can say Daniel Jones. You can say Bryce Young. You could say C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, Lamar Jackson, Derek Carr, Tua. Give me a name of who you want to be the Giants' starting quarterback in 2023. Timothy, what's up, man? Will the Giants trade Darius Slayton and a 2023 7th rounder to the Ravens for Chuck Clark? It's almost like I did a video on this before. Timmy, I know you're subscribed and you've probably seen it before. That's why you got this idea. I would love to make this trade. I think Chuck Clark can be a good football player still. He's played really well with the Ravens. He's a safety for the Ravens, if you don't know. But the Ravens made 2 big moves by adding safeties. They added one into free agency on the first day, gave him a lot of money, and then they drafted Kyle Hamilton in the first round. So Chuck Clark is looking somewhat on the outside in of the Ravens depth chart. If the Ravens were down for this trade, I would make it in a heartbeat because I think Chuck Clark could be a perfect starting safety for the New York Giants. He knows Wink Martindale. He knows this scheme. He knows what Martindale expects of his players. And I think he'd be great in that third safety role. And it'll let Julian Love go back to being that slot corner type of player. Great question. I'd make this move in a heartbeat, Timothy. Look, if the Giants trade for Chuck Clark, we are going to be breaking it down on this channel, youtube.com/NYGiantsTV. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. We are less than 400 away. So if you haven't yet, show some love. Hit that big red button. Help Giants now get to 10,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Do it for Eli, the GOAT, the greatest quarterback to ever play for the New York Giants. Ryan Jenkins, what up? Do you think the Giants should sign Cole Beasley to a vet minimum deal? Giants wide receivers are always hurt. Can't afford for that to happen in DJ's make or break year. I'll break this down bit by bit. Giants wide receivers are always hurt. They have been. Galladay's been hurt. Tony's been hurt. Shepard's been hurt on and off throughout his whole career. So I wouldn't be mad with the idea of bringing in Cole Beasley if he was down to sign a veteran minimum contract because he's still a solid player in the National Football League, and he knows this Brian Daboll offense. He spent the past couple of years with the Buffalo Bills. Had 82 grabs last year, almost 700 yards. The yards per catch is a little bit concerning, but he works out of the slot and gets a lot of catches on those underneath routes. He was a safety valve for a guy like Josh Allen last year, and I think he could do the same this year for Daniel Jones. And when you look at the Giants wide receiver depth chart, you have to remember that C.J. Board, Richie James, and David Sills were the starting wide receivers in with the ones at Giants minicamp because Galladay, Shepard, and Tony were all wearing red non-contact practice jerseys. I like Wan'Dale Robinson a lot. Wasn't a big fan of the pick at the time, but as I've done my more research and I've heard great things coming out of camp, I think he could be an immediate impact player. But does it hurt to go add a veteran wide receiver that works out of the slot, that knows this offense, that knows this playbook, that could teach a thing to a guy like Tony or Wan'Dale Robinson? I'd be all on board if Beasley were to be down to sign a 1-year veteran minimum deal, but I just have a feeling he's looking for a little bit more cheddar than that. So who knows? But if he wants to play football next year, it might have to be on that type of contract. If you haven't yet, show us some love over on Rumble, rumble.com/NYGiantsTV. We're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers over there. It's a very similar app to like YouTube. It's a video content creator platform, but it offers free and uncensored content. So if you want to hear me drop some F-bombs, you can go follow me. Follow Giants Now, on Rumble. Rumble.com/NYGiantsTV. I'll have the link to that in the comment section and description of this video. Class Clown, what's going on, Brody? What do you think about signing Ndamukong Suh? I'd love it. Suh has always been a player that I've loved watching from afar. I don't really have favorite players that aren't on the New York Giants, but I just love the tenacity and the way that guy plays football. I'm okay with the occasional roughing the quarterback or stomping on another person's face every once in a while. But Ndamukong Suh, seriously, is still a productive player. What was the stat, Petey? He's missed 2 games? 2 games in his NFL career. And what is he, 35, 36, 37? And it was due to suspension. He's healthy, he's dependable, and he's still a good football player. Is there a spot for him on this depth chart? Maybe not, but I'd be totally down. If Ndamukong Suh wanted to come play for the Giants, I think it's all about the money. I think he wants a lot, and the Giants, they don't really have a lot to offer, so that may be the part that's holding it back. But if Suh wants to play in MetLife wearing Giants blue, I'd be cheering him on for sure. I'm a big fan of Ndamukong Suh. Anthony, what up, man? Do you think Will Levis or Tyler Van Dyke will be on the Giants roster? I think one of those guys have a large chance to be the quarterback the Giants select in the 2023 NFL Draft. Because Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud might be the number 1 and number 2 pick in that draft. And while I don't think the Giants are going to go to the Super Bowl, I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I don't think they're going to be picking in the top 2 or have the bottom 2 records in the NFL. So a guy like Levis or Van Dyke, I think could go to the Giants somewhere from pick 10 to pick 20. Those guys are both going to go in the first round. I like Levis's arm strength. I like how he can move a little bit. I think it's a little bit weird that he puts mayonnaise in his coffee and eats bananas with the banana peel on. We'll talk about that later. I like Van Dyke. He has a strong arm and he's also athletic. I'd be down with either of these guys, but you're only going to go after one of them if Daniel Jones struggles this year, which who knows if that's going to happen. The ball's in his court. He's going to have to show us that he can be the franchise quarterback for years to come. Good question, Anthony. COVID 1984. If Daniel struggles this year, but the team overall does good, would you trade up for a quarterback? So if Daniel struggles, but the team overall does good, yes, I would trade up for a quarterback. Because if you're doing good as a team, and what is good? 7 and 9, what would it be? 7 and 10, 8 and 9. You're on the cusp of competing for that third wild card spot, and Daniel Jones is holding you back, then you absolutely move on from Daniel Jones. If it's the reverse scenario where Daniel Jones is playing great, but the rest of the team's not playing well, then you would hold on to him. But if he's holding you back and holding this team back from advancing and being a playoff type of team, as much as I'd like to see Daniel Jones be the guy, I think unfortunately the Giants would have to move on from him. And I think, like I've said a couple of times in today's show, it's in the draft or the Giants make a trade. I don't think they go out and sign a player. I think they want to save that cap space for future flexibility. And it's better to build a roster with a quarterback on a rookie contract that he's controlled costs for at least the next 4 years. Great question, though. I got this question as well. When did you become a Giants fan? When was the first game that you vividly remember? You can let me know the year. You can let me know the team in the year, the quarterback, whatever. Just let me know. When did you become a Giants fan, a fan of the New York Football Giants? Last question on today's show, a super chat from It's a Pizza Pie. Hey, Marshy, you even eat New York pizza. Also, top 23 free agents. Do I even eat pizza? Yeah, give me a slice. It was today. I made the office get New York style pizza. Everybody wanted to go eat tacos. I said, F them tacos. I want some pizza. But some top 23 free agents. I think you can look at Terry McLaurin as a free agent, DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel. I think you can also look at a guy like Marcus Peters. Maybe you want to go get a safety to pair with Xavier McKinney. You can look at Derwin James or Jesse Bates. Stay tuned, though. It's a Pizza Pie, because later in the week, we're going to take a look at 2023 New York Football Giants free agency targets.